So the first thing we're going to do when we're making our Japanese milk bread is to make our roux, which is just basically cooking down a little bit of flour, water and milk. And this is actually what gives Japanese milk bread its longevity or shelf life, which is why one of the reasons why I love this bread. You can do this with any bread recipe. So what we have right now is 3 tablespoons of water, 3 tablespoons of milk, and 2 tablespoons of bread flour. And we're just going to heat that up until it thickens. This is how you start off making gravies and sauces, etc. as well. Now you can do this with any bread recipe. All you need to do is remove 2 tablespoons of flour from your recipe and 6 tablespoons of whatever liquid you're using. Cook that on the stovetop, and that, oh, there we go, it's starting to thicken. And then you should have great longevity in your bread. This will last at room temperature for at least 4 to 5 days and still be really fresh. And for some breads, that is a challenge. So we are pretty much done. That's what it's going to look like when you're finished. It's going to look pasty, so we're going to set that aside to cool just for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to add that to our dry ingredients and get our bread started. So I have all my dry ingredients in my stand mixer at this point. So this is going to be your flour, salt, sugar, instant yeast. If you're using milk powder, the milk powder goes in now as well. Just refer to the recipe that I'm providing. And so I start off all my dry ingredients. You can choose to mix them up beforehand or not. It doesn't really matter. And I'm going to pop our roux in there right off the bat. It's the hardest thing to get in. It's sticky, gluey, pasty. And then we're just going to literally dump all the other ingredients in and turn the mixer on. Of course, you can do this by hand if you'd like. I usually have 2 or 3 loaves going at a time. So for me, it's highly impractical to do that. Once in a while, I will, just for the fun, but not today because we're in a rush. So milk goes in, butter goes in, and I warm up my milk to room temperature, butter also, and the egg. The reason for that is if you put cold ingredients in your bread, the rise time will increase, and when you're dealing with enriched dough, you're going to have more of a rise time to start with, just because it takes longer with the sugar, the milk, and the fat. So we're going to toss 1 duck egg in here, and it's just because I'm trying to use up my duck eggs. No other reason. And so we're going to start the mixer, and we're going to mix it for just a few seconds to get it incorporated. I'm going to show you what it looks like, and then we're going to turn the mixer on for about 5 to 8 minutes. So this is what your bread looks like when it first starts, or your dough rather. So it's going to be thick, shaggy, and lumpy. And so I started it just at low speed to begin, and then I'm going to increase it to a medium high. And again, I'm going to knead this with the dough hook for approximately 8 minutes, and then we're going to test our gluten and see if it's ready. So we're at the 8-minute mark, and our dough is definitely coming together. So I'm going to start by doing my first, what I call the window pane test, and you can already tell it's pretty stretchy and elastic, but it doesn't feel quite ready to me. It feels a little bit too sticky. So what you do is you take your dough and then you spread it, and if you can spread it without tearing, and you can tell it's tearing a little bit, and see through it, the light through, you're ready. So we've got another couple of minutes to go. So the mixer's been running for another couple of minutes, and I can already tell it's pretty tight. So I think we are good on gluten formation, but we're going to do another quick window pane test. So I'm going to take it and we're going to stretch it. Oh, see, look at that. There we go. See, you can see right through the light, through your bread dough right there, and it's not tearing. So now we are good. You have enough gluten formed. So at this point, we're going to take our dough, we're going to pop it into a greased bowl. I usually use a silicone spoon or scraper or something just to get the dough out. And look at all that gluten. Woo, it's stretchy. And then we'll make a little ball. I use butter to grease my bowl. You can use oil if you would like, or even non-stick spray if you must. I usually have butter paper around, so it's easy enough for me to find something to grease it with. So we're just going to collect that into a little ball. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're just putting it out to rise. Now, because this is an enriched dough, there is going to be additional rise time as opposed to a dough that doesn't have sugar or eggs or butter in it. So we're going to cover this, and I'm going to put this outside because I'm in Florida and it's going to be about 90 degrees this afternoon. But if it's cold where you are, you can put a cup of water in the microwave and boil it for 2 minutes, and then pop this bowl in your microwave off for an hour approximately, and then I would check. So that's one way to get your dough to rise relatively quickly. I'm going to test this out at around an hour to an hour and a half. It's pretty warm outside today, so I should be good. Just don't forget to check your bread, because if it overproofs, then you're not going to be able to get the good bubble action inside when it bakes. All right, we will be back once this has finished its first proof. So we are back, and our dough has finished its first rise. So in order to test out, it should be approximately 1.5 to 2 times the original size. That'll give you an indication that it's done. If you want to test it out further, you can do what I call the poke test, or what is called the poke test, and that is just taking a finger and poking it into your dough, and if it doesn't bounce back, it stays right where it is, you have proofed it enough.